Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Monster's Den. We've got in the house, as always, the king himself, Mr. Chris Allo, the absolute prince of props, Jamie Laszlo, and that little porky piglet on the shirt, Craig
Uh,
Kaminski. Woo.
Scrapple.
Scrapple. Aha, here we
Everything
go.
but the oink.
Everything but the oink. There you have it. So today is ranking the film day. So we decided we've talked about it here and there over the last couple of years on the Monsters Den, and we've mentioned the main character as one of the great monsters, or whatever you want, boogeymen of the last 20 years. Victor Crowley is his name. Hatchet is the film series. 4 films we have all either watched for the first time or rewatched them again over the last week or two, and we're going to rank them in the order that we like them. And we'll ask everybody watching, if you've seen all 4 of these films, to do the same down in the comments below. And if you've never seen this film series before, we're going to try not to give too many spoilers, but I don't think it really matters in this series about spoilers, because it's like,
you got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is I don't know, I'm going to try and word this as perfectly as I can. This is a fun series that is high on gore, over the top gore content, uh, kind of stupid dialogue, not very likable characters, and the bad guy you wind up rooting for, because me personally, most of the characters on these films I don't like at all, but I love when the main character, Victor Crowley, comes in and just massacres everybody. That's kind of like what this is all about. And throw conventional wisdom and what should and shouldn't make sense out the window. A lot of these plot lines don't make any sense at all, but it's just all fun, and we're here to talk about it. So we're going to have Craig kick us off with his number. We'll go Craig, Jamie, Chris, and myself round and round until we get to our number 1. So Craig, you're on number 4. I don't think any of us are going to disagree on the number 4. I think that's a foregone.
Thanks. And I'm one of those that had never seen none of these movies. I have seen.
Wow, so you're a first timer. Oh.
Yeah, I've never seen either.
Curious to hear what you say here.
I've heard of them, or I've seen the pictures for them, but I've never made a point to sit down and watch them. So my number 4, I'm going with the 4th of the series, which was Victor Crowley. That was made in 2017, and even though a lot of the kills were pretty enjoyable and pretty much comparable to the other ones, it seemed like they spent a lot of time inside the plane. There's a plane crash, and to me it seemed like, thank God, how long are they inside this fuselage? And it just seemed really long, and I was kind of like,
spoiler alert, almost the entire freaking movie.
Yeah, I was like, what? What? I mean, things were happening, but it just seemed like it was, man, how long is this going to be in there? But I will say the woman who played Rose, Laura Ortiz, I thought was hot. But although they missed a prime opportunity for nudity for her right in the beginning, where she just comes walking out, and it was like, you don't even get side boob. It was just kind of like, I was waiting for it after having seen the other movies, because I watched these in order. And so I was kind of expecting, oh, here we go, drop the laundry. But no, that didn't happen. So I was a little disappointed with that. But Felissa Rose was really kind of funny in it. And Chris kind of clued me into, I didn't recognize her at first, but then she was in the Sleepaway Camp films. And then I watched, courtesy of Chris, an interview that he did for her. So people go check it out on YouTube. And Chris on a live stage introducing a couple of folks from Sleepaway Camp. So it's pretty cool. And she seems nice, really super nice person, answering the audience questions and everything. But of course, her character is supposed to be kind of annoying in the movie, and she gets it in a pretty fun way with her phone going up her hoo-ha, and coming out her mouth, and and everything. And her friend getting, like, or excuse me, one of the Rose's friend getting like a head stomp, from Victor at one point. But yeah, it just took a little bit to get going and everything. The guy kicking Victor into the plane propeller, the jet engine at the end, of course, is nothing short of ridiculous. But yeah, it was. I didn't dislike it, but it was my least favorite of the four. So yeah, Victor Crowley was my least favorite, number four.
And from what I've heard, that is going to be the last film, right? I mean, I guess never say never, but
right. There was a post-credit scene in that, but I maybe there'll be another one,
that.
but that was 5
The only good part of the fucking movie.
All right, Jamie.
Well, I just got done filming a Contrarians episode, so I'll keep the Contrarian shit going. It was close for me, though, between 3 and 4. But I'm going with 3 as my number 4. I don't hate any of these. I enjoy. They are all fun to me. Even 4 is a lot of fun. This, I like how the first 3 always start like a second after how the last one ended. You could watch them in a row like they're one movie. They all kind of have the same vibe, so it does feel like one movie. I do like how they always start with a big violent scene, and then it goes into the opening credits. It's a nice thing they got rolling there. On this one, it starts with Victor Crowley getting sawed in half or cut in half with a chainsaw, and then it goes to the opening credits. And then you're like, okay, how's he going to come back from this? You're wondering for part of the movie. You can tell it's not Adam Green directing. The lighting's a little different. The kills are quicker. When Adam Green is doing the kills, they're long. They're stretched out. They almost have their own storyboard. Here, they're real fast, a lot of them. Some of them are even off screen. It's a little less gory. The practical effects aren't as good, I don't think. Maybe you guys were saying you don't like the beginning of 4. I think this has some pacing issues. Minimal, but they're there. Not a fan of Amanda, the character Amanda. I found her very annoying. Every time I saw her, I was thinking, this is what Reba McEntire would look like if she never had work done. I think she would look like this woman. There's no boobs in this at all, but I still enjoy it. I like it. It's more grimy looking, than the other ones are very cartoonish and very colorful for a horror movie. This is more grimy. And right when I was thinking, this is kind of grimy, Captain Spaulding showed up. I'm like, and you got to be careful because he's the funniest racist you're ever going to see on film. And it's a tightrope to walk there to make him funny and not offensive. And he pulls it off. The jokes are funny enough. It's done very well. You're laughing. You're not offended. So yeah, I like it, but it's coming in number 4.
I'm going with number 4, Victor Crowley, as my least liked film. I agree with Craig, and I completely disagree with Jamie Laszlo.
Imagine.
I think 4 is fucking boring, as Craig stated. Yeah, I remember when Pete and I talked about it. I'm like, yeah, that 4th movie, Pete, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry, yeah, that was.
No worries. I'm like, wait, the 4th one. I'm like, isn't that the one where they're like in a fucking airplane the whole movie? And then when I rewatched it on the weekend, like the plane crashes and they're in the airplane, and then they actually do leave. And I'm like, I guess I don't remember it right. But nope, like the fucking idiots that they are, they get back on the plane, and the next 40 minutes they're in the plane. And just the whole movie is annoying. I mean, the series as a whole is like if you took Friday the 13th and, made it more silly and had more nudity, but then instead of like the good Tom Savini special effects, like you had the kills are all done by Guar. Like that's how you describe this movie. It's a love letter to the 80s. But speaking of which, Craig mentioned it. First off, I wanted to kick the fucking TV in when they start off the movie and they're like, oh, there's no other survivors. And I'm like, wait, where's Danielle Harris? She starred, her character was in the first one, and then she took over in 2 and 3. And it was, you know, ambiguous at the end of 3 if she survived. And now it's like, oh, they're telling us she's dead? It's like, fuck, what the fuck? But spoiler, right, there is the Force Awakens ending. I'm sure this must have come out after Force Awakens, where all of a sudden they cut to her. She sees something on Victor Crowley and on TV, and she's like, oh, yeah, I'm ready for you, motherfucker, or something. I'm like, all right, well, that was cool. At least she's not dead. But yeah, every character in the earlier movies, they were annoying. In this movie, they are super fucking annoying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the one woman stuck underneath her chair and while the water's rising, and it's like, oh my God, just drown.
Greg, I was gonna say that was the most fucking annoying thing I think I've ever seen in a movie. Tiffany Shepis from Romeo and Juliet, she's like stuck in a chair and she's on the ground for like literally like 45 minutes while the water's rising. And it's like, listen, either fucking push her head down and drown her, or get together and get her out of the fucking water. Like, one or the other. This is fucking ridiculous. And they're pussyfooting back and forth. Get off the plane, get on the plane. It's so fucking stupid. And Craig mentioned this too. This happened not once, twice in this movie, but it wasn't an oversight like Craig said. I guarantee you this was done on purpose. There's a part early in the movie where there's a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're in the hotel with a cute friend. And yeah, to quote Craig, she drops the laundry to tease the boyfriend, but it's shot from behind. So we only see her ass, but the boyfriend gets to see all the goods. And I'm like, why would you do it like that? Like, you showed all this fucking nudity in the earlier movies. You're purposely doing this. Or are you? I don't know. Sure enough, like fucking 10 minutes later, there's another hot girl at a book signing, and she pulls her top down at the book signing, but the camera zooms in to her chin, so you can't see anything. And again, done on purpose. And I was like, what the fuck? I said it out loud. So fuck you, Adam Green, because you totally fucked up this series. The fourth one sucks. I liked your first 3, but yeah, this one, this was fucking painkiller for me. Or I'm not.
I thought she shows her tits at the signing.
Nope.
Oh,
nope.
She just like
the camera zooms in. She pulls them down. Camera zooms into her neck.
I'm putting it in right now because I'm pretty sure she does.
Same as the guy who whips his schlong out. You don't even
Yeah,
you don't even
you
hear the
unless
sound
there's two
you don't even
versions,
hear the
because
sound effect of.
I have the unrated discs for 1 and 3. At 4, I streamed it, but
Yeah.
I couldn't see them making that big of a deal because I streamed part 4. So
I'm gonna rewatch it when
I
we're done.
rewatch it.
I'm pretty sure I saw it.
I want to see screen grabs, Jamie, because
I'll take a
seeing
picture
boobs.
and send it to you.
I'd love it because I was pissed. But yeah, the whole plane thing, the drowning. Victor Crowley looked shitty. He looked way better in part 3 than he did in part 4. Everybody was fucking annoying. I wanted them all to drown. And yeah, so this one just pissed me off. So that's my least likely.
Yeah, I mean, it's number 4 for me as well. For me, it's easily the worst. I still kind of have, and I agree with everything Chris and Craig said, but I still have a little bit of fun with this one. It's goofy. They're going a little bit too much for the humor.
Way too much on the humor.
Yeah, and I absolutely detest like every character in this film.
Oh yeah.
This entire film, I'm kind of like, all right, Victor Crowley, kill that asshole. Kill that bitch. Just do it and get it over with. And it takes a while for all that to really happen. But the kills are fun as always. It's just ridiculous that like almost the entire film takes place on this down plane, right? I mean, it's just
right.
There's a lot at fault with this film. It's almost like my take on this film is that because it came out, this was 4 years after the third film. I think Adam Green wanted to do like maybe a final sequel, and he's like, all right, let's just do this, and they just threw together a script and just did it, and he's like, all right, we did it. And it just, to me, it feels like not a lot of time and care was put into this one. I still have fun with it because I think all 4 of these films are fun for what they are, but to me it's easily the worst of the 4. So,
and the highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes of the 4.
Really?
With critics. Yeah,
It
That's
is
bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh well, what do they know, right?
Yeah. What the fuck do they know?
All right, Craig, number 3.
My number 3 is Hatchet 3. Came out in 2013, and again, following the trend from the first, or at least, excuse me, from part 2, picks, as Jamie said, picks up right where part 2 ends, which is pretty cool, and to see that. And again, as following the trend from parts 1 and 2, a lot of cameos or people that are familiar faces who may not necessarily be 100% star power, but it's cool to see. This one, part 3, has Zach Galligan from Gremlins as the sheriff. It was, so that was kind of fun to see him in a different role, and to see him throwing out the F-bombs and everything. I'm just used to seeing him from Gremlins. And Carolyn Williams from, I guess, the newer Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or no?
No, she was in the part 2 from 1986.
Okay.
She was
okay.
the DJ, or
It said Stretch or
Stretch. Yep.
Okay. And as Jamie said, really annoying, but she gets it in a really nice way, with like her whole head being ripped off and everything. Sid Haig cameo as Jamie had said, which is pretty funny. The whole SWAT team part was a little bit ridiculous, where it's like, let's bring in the entire army to take out this guy who doesn't exist, that no one can seem to corroborate. But and then I had pointed out or I mentioned it to Chris, and of course he rightfully backed me up on it. There's several people from the Slayer Repentless video in this movie, and because I was watching this, and it's like, well, wait, that one of the SWAT guys has had an eye patch on, and it's like, well, that looks like the guy from those Slayer videos. And then the big bald SWAT member, the leader, I believe his name's Derek Mears.
Yeah, he played Jason in the last.
Yeah, in the 2009 one. Yeah, he was in the Slayer video, and the nerdy guy who I believe plays the coroner or medical examiner or something, he's in the video, and he's also been in other movies as well. But as soon as I saw that, then Chris said, well, the gentleman who directed the third movie directed the Slayer, or had something to do with the Slayer videos.
Yeah, so he directed the Slayer videos, and Felissa Rose, who was in Hatchet 4, was the producer on the Slayer project.
Yeah, hence the connection. So, because I thought, wow, that's a really weird coincidence here, but they were connected. So, thank you, Chris, for for mentioning with that. But yeah, the probably some of the best parts were in the water ambulance, so to speak, where Zach Galligan gets sucked out, and the woman SWAT team, the one woman SWAT team member, I think she puts her arm out, and then it's like she gets almost vacuumed out and everything. But then at the end, as you'd mentioned, Mary Beth Danielle Harris gets like impaled onto this tree, and it's like, wow, man, she's got to be gone. And but she turns up in the cameo for part 4, and I couldn't help but laugh with the throwing of an urn, where it hit somebody in the head when he like threw the urn at someone. But there was a little just too much. Little slapsticky at parts, and again with the whole SWAT team thing, I was kind of it was a bit much, though some of that stuff was pretty entertaining with how they all met their demise. But yeah, part 3 is my number 3.
All right, Jamie.
All right, my number 3 is Victor Crowley. I understand the faults with it. I totally understand, and yes, it is kind of like almost pure comedy. But here's the thing. I was laughing and I'm enjoying myself. I'm laughing at the dumb jokes. So it's hard to hate it when you're sitting there enjoying yourself, laughing at everything these people are saying. And they do come the jokes come like every 15 seconds. So yeah, I get it. But it doesn't bother me. I don't mind it. Here's the thing. You got Perry Shen in it. Nothing makes sense in these movies, okay? Nothing makes sense. But this is way out there. I had to write it all down research it. So he's in every one of these movies. He's a different character in 1, 2, and 3. I think in 3 he survives, and he plays his brothers in the other 2, if I'm not mistaken, and they both die.
Yep.
And then in 4, he is playing the same character he was in 3. But here's the thing. All right, I wrote this down because this is complicated as shit. So he's seen as the only survivor, but like you said, Chris, Mary Beth was supposed to survive too. So maybe she bled out. I don't know. Here's the thing. He's Andrew, all right? That's his character who survived 3. But in this movie, 4, it's already getting complicated. He is accused of killing Chad in part 2. So, but he was Justin.
Yeah, because his brother shows
so he
up
couldn't have
or
killed
something.
Chad. Same actor, but different character. There's people making a movie. You know, this is how the movie starts. They want to make a movie about part 1 because it's the 10-year anniversary, and they want Andrew, the character in this, to be in their movie because he was the one survivor of 1, but he was Sean in part 1. He's Andrew now. And then he's signing his book for the 10-year anniversary, and he's signing it Andrew, but it was Sean who was in part 1. So they're combining all 3 characters into one dude in this movie.
That's worse than
really asinine.
Worse than I thought it was.
But I roll with it, man.
Did he not remember the movie he shot 10 years ago? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Credit to Jamie for figuring all that out.
Yeah.
Script supervisor for part 4 should be drawn and quartered.
I was going to say continuity person should be Jamie Laszlo because he probably fucking paid more attention.
Normally that shit goes over my head.
Filmmakers did.
So,
oh Jesus!
But I do love the kills when they finally happen. You know, Adam Green, he's so creative in killing people. How are we going to do it this time? Oh, I got an idea. You know, it's just so many elements of fun still in this movie. I have a ball with it. It's got a hot black chick in it. That's always going to get brownie points with me. Big chocolate brownie points with Laszlo when there's a hot black chick in there. And her kill is very cool because you see it from her perspective. They cut off her head and you see her head roll through her eyes and then it blacks out. So I love his ideas when he does his bits with
no heads are safe when Victor Crowley is around. Let me tell you.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Judas Priest, some heads are gonna roll. It's on constant rotation with him.
You notice, I think Adam Green, you know, something that Chris said ages ago when we did the Friday the 13th film ranking. You talk about how a lot of those like earlier Friday the 13th films, you know, Jason's killing everybody and you don't see nothing. There's like no blood or anything. It's almost like Adam Green is like, yes, that's true. So we're going to do a homage to those films, but we're going to give you all the blood and the guts and all the mutilation.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why also he went nuts on the nudity in part 1, and he had some good nudity in 2. 3, it really didn't seem like there was any place for it.
Right.
But 4, there purposely was 2 scenes written in that for the scene should have had nudity, and they were purposely shot, at least the version I saw, without. Yeah. So that was done on purpose. So to me, it's like, okay, yeah, all right, well, we're giving you the gore that you didn't get, and they certainly were giving us the nudity that we didn't get because, you know, Friday they had some nudity, but not this much. But yeah, I say he did that on purpose for whatever reason. Maybe his girlfriend got mad at him. Maybe his mom got mad at him. Maybe the studio, Dark Sky Films, was like, you had too many tits in the other movie, so don't show anything. It's too PC. We can't have naked women I don't know. But there's definitely a reason for that in that 4th one. But
there's a lot of nudity, but Booger from Revenge of the Nerds would be, you know, he'd be a little down on it because there's no bush.
Well, was it the 3rd? What was the one where they showed the video of some girl? She looked. You almost saw something.
2?
When
on the camera in the beginning,
when Jack Cracker is
I think that was 2.
looking at the camera.
But yeah, it was mostly
Oh
top.
yeah, she stands up in the bed. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of get a little there, yeah.
But yeah, it was mostly topless nudity. But you know, kind of like the Fridays. You know, there wasn't that many beaver shots. You know, if we're calling a spade there, Pete Pardo.
So, all right, Chris, number 3.
All right, so my third favorite, and I did like 1, 2, and 3 quite a bit, but my next one would be number 2. I loved the addition of Danielle Harris. I mean, she is, you know, horror royalty. The girl that played Mary Beth in the first movie, I thought was fine, but I thought, you know, adding Danielle Harris was a big uptick. You know, in this movie, they also have Tom Holland, who you know, was a writer director who did, you know, Night of the Creeps and Psycho 2 and Fright Night and a bunch of other stuff. They had Tony Todd, who played Candyman. John Carl Buechler, who was a special effects guy and a director. He directed Friday 6. They had Lloyd Kaufman, R.A. Mahaloff, who played Leatherface in Chainsaw 3, and of course Kane Hodder. And I thought it was cool how they had Leatherface and Jason technically wrestling when R.A. Mahaloff was fighting with Victor Crowley. Couple nude scenes in the beginning, but this plot, to me, the second one is basically The Descent 2 or Aliens. So the girl gets away, and what does she do? Get a whole bunch of people with guns and go back to the site, which is fine. It's simple. I think the second one, it did take quite a while to get going. I wrote down that it was 53 minutes until the first kill, which, wow, that sounds like a long time. They had a really funny sex scene with a really hot blonde. A bunch of people get chainsaw, like two people got chainsawed at the same time, which I thought was a really cool kill. I thought Tom Holland is a great writer and director, but man, a shitty actor. His acting sucked. But I thought it also too had a great ending, and I thought it was cool. They had a Ministry song and an Overkill song in the soundtrack. So yeah, I thought it was really good. Just not as good as 1 and 3.
That's also my number 3, Hatchet 2. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Chris just said. I personally think that Danielle Harris was a great addition. The actress who played her character in the first film, I was never all that into. You know, she's good to look at, but I thought she was a pretty bad actress. And Danielle Harris's character had this badassness about her in the second and third films that actress just didn't really convey. So I thought she was a great addition to this series. And yeah, she's horror royalty, which is they added some good star power to this film, which I really like. You know, other than the fact that you know, she goes in and now, you know, let's bring people in with guns like Chris mentioned. The film is very similar to the first one in a lot of ways, which is not a bad thing because the first one's a really good film. But I just think that the first film and the third film have a little more meat on the bones for me anyway. But the kills are great in here as always. You know, the last half hour is just absolutely intense. Great ending, and I love the fact that they pick up right from where, you know, the other films end off for the first 3. I think that's really key. So yeah, really fun. You know, the first 3 films for me are all a lot of fun. Not a lot separates them, but I think that the first and the third definitely are preferable to me, I think, than this one. But good stuff though. Can't go wrong with it. Back to Craig.
My number 2 is number 2, Hatchet 2, and they're really close with me between my top 2 favorite. As you said, Pete, I think they are kind of similar in everything, but I agree the addition of Danielle Harris over Tamara Feldman from part 1 as the Mary Beth character was a lot better. I did like in part 2 that Tony Todd had an expanded role as compared to part 1, where he's only in it for maybe a couple minutes. And I do, and his comeuppance at the end is great, where
awesome,
he's basically skinned and everything, and so that's a lot of fun. I had to laugh at the Jack Cracker gag, like pays off, because of in the first movie the what's his name, the guy driving the boat had said, oh, don't worry about him, he drinks his own pee or something. And then in the second movie, he's offering her like a bottle, and it's like, but he didn't mention it, and then it's like, wait a second, that's right, he mentioned that oh yeah, he drinks his pee, and he says to her, oh, go ahead, it's nice and warm.
Nice and warm.
So now I couldn't help but laugh at that, and of course his head explodes from getting strangled with his intestines. So you can't go wrong there. And the video girls from the first movie make a comeback, and I did like their back and forth with everything, like one's basically saying that the other one was stupid, and and everything. I thought those were funny enough. But as Chris said, yeah, cool to see Tom Holland, but yeah, not much of an actor, in that and everything. But there was comedy, enough comedy, but not too much. I mean, but the kills besides Tony Todd, the sex scene death was great, with the villain from Your Next getting halved basically while he's getting some from his girlfriend, and I really enjoyed the ending with Mary. How many times you watch these movies where it's like you assume that the killer is dead, and it's like they leave him there, and it's like he's twitching, and it's like, and she goes back and finishes the job. So that was a cool, satisfying ending, and so I enjoyed that. I think I just like the part one a little bit more, but yeah, Hatchet 2 was very enjoyable.
One of the great chainsaw kills of all time, I think, right?
Oh yeah, better than any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies.
Yeah, crazy stuff. All right, Jamie.
Yeah, you guys pretty much said anything. I don't know what else to say. I will say, yeah, they switched actresses to Danielle Harris, but if you watch 1 to 2, you kind of barely notice that they switched actresses.
Well, they do look kind of similar. Like, if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't,
Yeah, if you didn't know who she was, you wouldn't notice. It's kind of like when they switched Darren's on Bewitched. Nobody knew.
On the nose, yeah.
Nobody knew. So yeah, it picks up right after 1, which is really cool, because the first time I saw it, I'm like, what a great idea. Just keep things rolling. Yes, the Jack Cracker piss thing. I like how the gag continues into part 2. It's so great in 1, and then it's even almost better in part 2. And then he gets his head popped off. I think that's right before the opening credits. I think that's the kill for Jack Cracker. Here's the thing: Tony Todd gets more screen time to where he's almost like the main star in this movie. I think a little goes a long way with him. When people are talking in a weird voice, the less they speak, the less corny it seems. When he's doing long monologues in that voice, I'm like, okay, can you just talk normal? This is ridiculous. So yeah, I like him more as a cameo than one of the main actors. But the kills are great. You guys mentioned a bunch of them. Chad getting his head pounded with the blunt part of the axe over and over. That's what I mean about these kills. They just go on
Relentless,
and on and on.
Like,
and that's why you need the comedy, and that's why you need the bright colors, because that needs offset. That violence needs a little offset with bright colors and comedy, or it would just be too much. Well, maybe not for you guys, but for me. The dude's face getting pushed into the propeller of the boat. Like you said, the dude banging the chick, and then he gets killed, and he's still doing it and goes into convulsions, and she's getting into it. I'm like, what a great idea. I love it. The longest chainsaw ever, killing 2 guys at the same time. The dude's head getting split from like the curb stomp from American History X, but you actually see it this time, and his head goes sliding across the table. And then I think you see it in 3. They find his half a head in 3 and go, what should we do with this? Great ongoing gags in these movies. It's great. I almost wanted to put it at 1, but there's only one number 1 So that's my number 2.
Cool. Chris?
All right, my number 2 is number 1, which is the first one. I have the disc here. I did really enjoy it. Again, great cast. This one has Robert Englund in the opening scene. John Carl Buechler, who is the basically drinking his own pee, but he's the Crazy Ralph character from Friday 1 and 2, which was interesting because Crazy Ralph gets killed in Friday 2, and John Carl Buechler gets killed in the second Hatchet movie. But you're right, Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, and I am a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I was thrilled that they had Mercedes McNabb, who played Harmony in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer show, as one of the 2 dumb girls. And I was shocked. She gets topless 3 times in the first 20 minutes of this movie. And there is a gag when she posed for Playboy. She had to cover a Playboy years ago when Buffy was running. And there's a part where they're digging through the guy's bag and they very quickly pull out her Playboy with her on the cover, but you don't quite see everything. But I thought that was a real fun gag. This one, it kind of first Hatchet looks like they're in a real swamp. Like Hatchet 2 to me looks like they're on a set, and Victor Crowley looks like they're on a set. I did not like the ending. I thought the ending was kind of a cop out in this one, but the kills were good. Hell, and there's like a dozen topless girls that you see in just the first few minutes of this movie when they're going down the streets in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. So to me, it's like completely insane that you would have 15 naked girls in movie 1, but by movie 4, you are purposely putting scenes in the movie where you expect nudity, but you purposely shoot it without. That's just to me, that's a fuck you. I know I'm really hung up on this, but this is
I guess YouTube would block us if I put this in and show
Probably.
that there's boobs.
Probably. But this would be like if the 4th movie was bloodless all of a sudden now. Wait, I don't understand.
Which it wasn't, so why not just go full throttle for everything, right?
Right. And all these movies, they're all fucking unrated. All the money they were making. I think the first one did get a theatrical release, a small release. I don't know about any of the others, so I don't know why he would do that. But anyway, that's my my number 2 is I did like it, but not as much as the other one.
Yeah, number 2 for me is number 1. Chris and I seem to be on the same wavelength here. So I flip-flop my number 1 and number 2 a bunch of times over the last week.
Close.
Yeah, because they're both really good in my mind, and I think there's, at the end of the day, you have to decide, which one do you have the most fun with, right? This is the one I've seen the most. I've seen this a lot more than the other ones, but I don't know. It's a great mix of humor and over the top gore. You got, like Chris mentioned, you got Robert Englund in the film. There's some star power right off the bat. He's the first one to die as well. Oh well. You got that Perry Shen guy who, again, his character is so annoying. He's the annoying tour guide in this film. It's just like, it's like, shut up, someone please kill him. And he's in every damn movie, and in every movie, he's like the number one. I can't wait for that guy to die in this movie already. But again, you're just really waiting for Victor Crowley to come out and just kill all these people. The two dumb girls are absolutely hilarious in this, and the fact that they hate each other, and they're always like, after every stupid little scene that they're shooting, they're just at each other's throats. All this ridiculous dialogue between the two of them. It's just absolutely hilarious. So good. The kill scenes are outstanding. When this film came out in 2007, I remember thinking, holy shit, this is some like over the top blood and gore, because you didn't really see anything like this for a while, right? And this was supposed to be a throwback film to the great slashers of the 80s, but I think this kind of started a new kind of trend of having this type of stuff in more modern horror, and all for that. Really cool. twisting the head around, ripping the old lady's mouth open. That one scene where just amazing, right? Great practical effects. I love the fact there's no CGI here and all that. These are just well-made, fun throwback films, and just a ton of fun. So yeah, Hatchet 1, number 2 for me.
And that's my number 1 is Hatchet 1. And I think I had read that Kane Hodder said that was his favorite kill. The pulling the Minnesota wife from behind,
that poor couple, man. They got
that couple was played by the husband is Richard Reel. He was in Office Space, the Jump to Conclusions, Matt. And
I have that in my notes.
The wife, the woman who played the wife, the poor, with that happened to her. I didn't even bother writing her name down, but as soon as I saw her, I was like, well, she's the woman that John Malkovich kills from the bank in the Line of Fire, the Clint Eastwood movie, where she gives John Malkovich a bank loan and says, "You look familiar," or we went to the same high school, and then he shows up at her house and kills her. But she's always very sunny and smiling. So it's like, oh, this poor woman meets such a gruesome ending. The main character, again, name's not important, Joel David Moore, but it's like, oh, who's that? That's the nerdy guy from Dodgeball who so as soon as I saw him, it's like, oh yeah, the guy from HBO is playing the shit out of Dodgeball this month. So I must have watched it like 5 times. So yeah, it's like, yeah, guy from his annoying friend, the black guy he played Kenny on the Cosby Show. He was Rudy's like little friend who would make like sexist comments, and then Rudy would give him the sass, and everything during that show. Because as soon as I saw him, I was like, wait, that guy kind of looks familiar too. It's cool to see those. Joel Murray, the video guy from Mad Men, was. And which I love Mad Men, and so it was fun to see him in that role, and the cameos: Robert Englund, Joshua Leonard from Blair Witch Project, 2 guys right in the beginning of the movie, and again, we mentioned before, the video girls are a lot of fun with just their back and forth banter with each other and saying, "Oh, you're a hermaphrodite. Do you even know what that means?" Or just all those, and all that. The introduction of the Jack Cracker drinking pee, which pays off in the second movie, but finally the callback. As been saying, this is a like Friday the 13th homage, the callback to Friday the 13th 1, where she is in the Mary Beth is in the water, and the guy dodgeball guy's hand is down, and she pulls up and pulls his hand out, as though it's like, it's just kind of it's a little similar to an homage to Friday the 13th 1. So that was cool. And again, seeing the first time the ending that leaves you hanging, because this one just totally quit. I mean, never having seen the movie before, I'm watching this. It's like, oh, okay, and then it goes black, and here comes the credits. It's like, geez, well, I'm glad I already know there is a part 2, so I can
at the time we were like, oh, yes, right,
and see what happens. So that was cool. It's normally something that you don't see a whole lot in movies like that. So that was nice to be able to do that. But yeah, just an enjoyable, fun movie. Yeah, it's got a lot of violence and over the top and everything, but this is almost more. It's in more of a, I don't know, more of a fun, silly kind of way than in some movies where like. A movie that came out close to around the same time, like Hostel, which was way more serious, and that one you're a little taken aback. Where the same thing can happen in this movie, but it just has a different tone, and you view it in a different way. So it's a lot of fun, and that was my favorite, the opening movie.
I love the line when the 2 girls are talking to each other. It's like, oh, I went to NYU, and the other one's like, duh, yeah, like that's really a real place, right? It's like, it's like, yes, she is that stupid, right? All right, Jamie.
Yeah, I'm going with number 1 too. You guys mentioned everything. I just crossed off all my notes basically because you just kept mentioning everything. So I only got a couple lines here to add. You know what? I was watching this again, and I know how it starts. And when that alligator comes out at the beginning, I still jumped. I think it's great. There's the jump scares work on this because if you really turn up the surround sound, the music when it happens just surrounds you and really makes you jump.
Then you get the blood that flies up against the wall.
Oh yeah, there's always the bucket of blood against the tree or something like that, which isn't really necessary, I think. Yeah, but when Jumps to Conclusion's wife gets her head torn off, I think that's the moment where I go, so that's what we're in for with this. That's what we're gonna do here. All right, strap myself in. Here's the thing though with Adam Green. You know that Adam Green knows what he's making, and he knows that you know what he's making. And we're all kind of in this together with a wink and a nudge. It's not something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre where you feel like you need to shower afterwards. Even though this is more violent, it's more jokey and more fun. The bickering chicks are hilarious. I never watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Was she funny in that show?
Yeah, she had some.
So this isn't her first comedic thing that she.
Yeah.
Chris, which one is she? The blonde or the brunette?
The blonde.
Okay.
Yeah, the blonde.
I've never seen Buffy.
She was like the girlfriend of Spike, who was the main British punk rock vampire. And yeah, she wasn't a series regular, but she was on, I believe, from season 1 and would make appearances, throughout the show. And her character name was Harmony. And yeah, I want to say sometime in the late 90s, I mean, Buffy was a pretty hot show. She did a Playboy spread and she was the cover girl.
All right. Cool.
Like they show the magazine. Next time you watch Hatchet 1, when the guy with the video camera dies, they go through his stuff and they pull out the Playboy, and Mercedes is the cover girl.
Ah, okay. Yeah. But this set the standard for me, how I judge the 3 that came out afterwards. But Craig is amazing. This is the difference between me and him. I don't even remember John Malkovich being in A Line of Fire, let alone the people he's killing in it.
Just nominated for an Oscar.
God, I haven't seen it since '93.
Oh, I love it.
I don't even remember him being in it. So yeah, number 1.
Cool. Chris?
All right, my number 1 is Hatchet 3. Like Pete said, it's the one I've seen the least. I've seen number 1 the most, but the one that overall I really enjoyed the most was definitely Hatchet 3. I mean, first off, the cast literally was like, wow, did you get the cast from Chiller Theater? Because I mean, it's all guests there. Kane Hodder, Danielle Harris, Caroline Williams, Sid Haig, Zach Galligan, and Derek Mears. Like, holy Jesus. It's all, horror royalty. I mean, so right off there, I loved it. I think I had the best opening of the series where the Mary Beth character just eviscerates Victor Crowley in the first fucking scene of the movie. And you're like, holy shit. How do you go from here? But
yeah, do we have a movie after this?
He had no head. He had no head, right?
No, this is like in was it Avengers Endgame? Well, they killed Thanos in the opening scene, and you're like, holy shit! There's another 2 hours to fill. But they managed to do it. I thought it was cool. They had Gwar in the opening song. No nudity, but it doesn't piss me off like it does in the 4th one, because in this one there really was nowhere they could squeeze it in, but they had a great shot of Danielle Harris in the shower showing off her awesome tattoo collection, because she is a tattoo collector. To me, and Jamie said it, this one is not as colorful. It's more grimy. It looks more cinematic. It looks like a movie. It's got bigger production values. I mean, they used drones. There's shots of cars going down the highway. There's scenes in a jail. It just felt
it's a rocket launcher.
Everything just makes it feel bigger, which is funny because the other 3 were all directed by Adam Green. This is the one that was directed by B.J. McDonnell, who did the Slayer Repentless stuff. I like the part with the homage to Predator, where they got all the guys with the guns and they're shooting up all the trees in the jungle. I also thought that there was a lot less comedy in it. It seemed to be a little more serious. I thought Victor Crowley, I mean, they really captured the picture on the front. He looked the most sinister and the scariest.
Is that Victor Crowley behind you? Lurking in the shadows?
It could be, but that's the missus. But yes, unless I get a hatchet through the head, then it's Victor Crowley. But yeah, so overall, I think the third one really was for me the one that worked the best.
Yeah, I swear Chris and I did not share notes before this, but our rankings are identical. So yeah, Hatchet 3 for me. Again, I thought when I went into getting ready to rewatch all these, I assumed that number 1 was going to be my favorite, because that generally has been my favorite of all these. But in rewatching them all again recently, I was like, I have the most fun with number 3. Bring in the SWAT team. The feeling I get, it's almost like Predator meets Friday the 13th here in a weird way. It's an exciting bloodbath. I like the fact it's a little bit more serious. I don't mind the griminess of it. And to me, it's just as much an action film as a over the top horror film.
Absolutely.
I think Victor Crowley, it's ridiculous, but he's like completely unbeatable here, right? I mean, nothing you're going to do, this guy is going to kill him. No matter how many times you're shooting him or no matter what happens, he's like, getting shot, blood flying everywhere. And he's just like, maybe he drops, but he gets right back up. I mean, this guy is just, can't kill him. Danielle Harris is a complete badass in this film. I think the cameo from Sid Haig is hilarious. Yeah. It's so wrong, but it's hilarious.
They do it well.
Yeah, he does it really well. The chick who plays the blogger, she's kind of annoying, but she adds a little bit of fun to this role. And you can't wait until she gets it in the end. Of course, she loses her head as well, just like everybody else does. I don't know. To me, this has a little bit of everything, and that's why. And it looks like a really great film.
Yeah, it's got a great ending.
Yeah, is the third one where he melts? Is that the third one?
Yes.
Where he melts.
To me, the ending in this one really has a great finality to it. Like you could have really just ended the series there, or at least taken it in a better direction for part 4 if you felt the need to do it more. But I thought this one had a really great ending.
Because they could, spoiler alert, they could have ended it with Victor Crowley getting killed and Danielle Harris's character getting killed, and that's the end of the legend, right? Done.
Yeah.
But again, they film the ending kind of like all the other ones, where it just kind of like goes to black, and you're like, all right, is that it? And then we had to wait a bunch of years for the 4th one, and
which starts off in 1964. Doesn't start off a second, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But I love the bit with the snot. I love it. I was cracking up.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I didn't do any math with the years. I didn't pull a Jamie, but the Friday the 13th movies, if this is homage to the Friday movies, those years are all over the place. The timeline makes no sense.
Right.
Just from like 1, 2, 3, and 4 alone. So to me, that's how I kind of took it. Like, they're just doing whatever because they just did whatever on Friday, and nobody really questioned it back then.
Yeah, and it is kind of a little annoying. I think in all 3 of the first 3 films, they give you like a little bit of the back history on Victor Crowley and his dad and what had. It's like, all right, do we need to see this again? Right. Each time they give you a little bit more. It's like
they give you a backstory on the backstory.
Yeah, exactly. And each movie,
it was like Kane Hodder didn't want to put his makeup on that day, so it's like, well, let's give him a little bit of something to do.
And didn't a chick play Victor Crowley in the first one at least?
No, I thought it was Kane Hodder in all of them.
Yeah.
I saw it when I Googled it. It had a girl and said Victor Crowley. I'm like, really?
Maybe as when he was a little kid.
He was younger, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Well, it was a full-grown woman. The picture. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I'll have to check that. I don't know. So fun stuff. There you have it, everybody. The Hatchet film series. If you haven't seen it and you like old school gory horror with a big bad boogeyman, can't go wrong with these. You can get these cheap, and they're a lot of fun.
Except the second one. The second one, because I looked it up, it's second one's out of print.
Is it really? I'm glad
You
I
can
bought
get like
this.
1, 3, and 4. You can get pretty cheap.
I got it at FYE on clearance not too long ago.
Yeah, right now, part 2 seems like it's out of print.
Wow. All right.
All right.
Well, Craig, you were able to watch these all online. What were they streaming?
Yeah,
on?
all four are on Tubi, and they're also on some of the other free
Yeah.
services. Also, all 4 of them are on the free services. Also,
Yeah, I know part 2. I think it was part 2 because I don't have that one. Is on YouTube for free.
yeah.
Uncut.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So yeah, will we see another one? I don't know. It's
The fourth one ends with a like there should be a fifth one.
yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know. It's been 5 years already.
Well, right, because the fourth one, teased that at the very end that Danielle Harris is still
Oh
alive.
yeah. The part I missed. I never
Right,
saw.
yeah. I forget how they did it. Did it cut to black, and then
I
did it
don't
go
know.
to credits?
No, it was like a mid-credit scene.
Okay, yeah.
I'm putting it in now to find boobs when we're done with this.
Yeah, you'll have to. Yeah, I'm dying to know if there is another version.
Yeah, me too. Can we hurry
It's
up?
like, why would you have a movie that is so gory, but you take out the 2 boobs? Because it's not like you're going to get the PG-13 rating with
that's
Hatchet
that's not
4. So yeah,
Take out those boobs, and we're going to get that
Yeah.
PG-13.
we can decapitate 5 heads and
right.
rip out a couple of intestines. By the way, what is it with the intestines in these films? Are always like as tight as rope.
Hold on. Forget the intestines. How many fucking vomiting scenes are in this film series? Every movie has at least one, if not more, vomiting scenes.
Well, the first movie where he's leaning like on the dodgeball guy and like all
No,
these
the worst is the drunk chick in Bourbon Street. That's like
Oh yeah.
That was the producer. She's like the producer of the series. I can't remember her name, but yeah, every scene, every movie, there's multiple vomit bursts. So some people are very
It bothers them more than a head being ripped
yeah,
off.
absolutely. But yeah,
It would have been vomit on bare feet, then I would have like ran for the woods. And I would have.
Quentin Tarantino probably would have liked that.
I'm sure.
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother thing.
All right, everybody, there you have it. Ranking the Hatchet film series. So if you've seen all 4 of these, please rank them as you like them down in the comments below. And again, if you haven't seen them, go check them out. Let us know what you think. And tune in again next week. It'll actually be someone's birthday next week when we do the Monsters Den. And as a tribute to Mr. Kaminski and his birthday, we will be ranking the Batman films next week as well. So, yeah, that has been
10 of them? There's 10, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we decided on. Yes.
10 in about 36 hours worth of film.
It's funny, I love Batman the character, and I've throughout my life I've really enjoyed these. But sometimes some of these you go back and revisit them, you're like, this really isn't as good as I remember it, right?
Sometimes,
yeah.
Well,
We're gonna do it for next week, but yeah,
It's been rough.
Yeah, there were several.
I mean, listen,
one I hadn't seen.
I'm the guy that wears fucking Batman cologne. So like,
The Dark Knight.
I can't believe that. To me, they still haven't made like the ultimate Batman movie.
Why do you keep it by your computer at all times?
Sometimes I need a squirt, man. If I'm going out, gotta have a little spritz so I smell good for everybody.
All right.
Should
I
be
guess
in
so.
a-
always there, right? That
Yeah.
pop is always there.
I was gonna say, I got-
your bat toothbrush.
I got my Batman. My Batman watches. I got fucking Batman shit all
Oh,
over.
okay. It's just like the
Shouldn't
back
it
there.
be in a utility belt or something?
Listen, I have that too. I have the cowls and the masks, and I have more Batman shit than I know what to do with. But movie wise, yeah, fuck. Oh Jesus, here's another. How many Batman watches do I have? That's Star Wars. Well, there's that 1, 2,
Never opened.
Yeah, I don't wear a watch, but I
I
have.
was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen you wear a watch.
Yeah.
I don't wear a watch, but apparently I have 4 Batman watches
Yeah.
in case I ever do wear a watch.
You're walking in Kohl's. You go to the kids department. Oh, look at that one. That's pretty nice. Look at
Hey,
that one.
listen, I got a lot of Batman stuff. but-
$12.99 coming home.
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
But did you have Batman
under
underoos?
somewhere, and he's going to have like
Oh yeah,
5
for
watches
sure.
on both arms.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of Batman shit. I just got the new. I got the original Ben Cooper. I'm looking at 3 of them on the shelf. The old Ben Cooper from the '70s masks,
Those are
but they have a
nice.
brand new one for this year. I got that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like fucking Batman. I'm with you, Pete. I know Jamie's a big fan and Craig, but man, rewatching these, we'll save it for next week. But I'm like, whew, boy, you guys, you still can't fucking get it right.
Chris likes Batman so much, he said he likes fucking Batman.
Listen. If you know, Bruce Wayne's got a lot of money, so you know, I'm just saying, $20 is $20.
Right?
He'll be on his new Alfred.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
So
Weren't
next
we
week,
supposed to sign off 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm
we're
sorry. Pete
giving
likes those
everybody a
long videos sometimes,
sneak
though.
peek of the fun that they're going to be in store for next week. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's
There
my
you
my last week in my 40s. So,
No.
yeah,
Welcome to the club.
yes, my AARP membership application is downstairs. I already got that in the mail. So.
Nice.
there you go. Get all sorts of discounts.
Get ready for the backache.
That's right. So join us next week. Bring a couple drinks. It's probably going to be a long show. I think Rich Catino is also joining us next week. So we'll be ranking the Batman films, and we'll see how that goes. Till then, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. All
the damn time.
Time for Chris Laszlo, Jamie Laszlo, and Craig Kaminski, the future birthday boy next week. I am Pete Pardo. We'll see you next week, next Thursday for Batman. Take care, everybody.